I'm just walking around having a thought to myself. When people instigate fear and violence against the victim, and it's all addressed in a one-sided line of attack against the victim, usually when you're under a position of ACC Crown and Government employ, and their intent is to threaten and intimidate or place you in a situation of entrapment, like trigger words, trigger phrases, trigger statements that are meant to antagonize you, torment you, torture you, abuse you, harass you, criminally harass you, threaten you, intimidate you, over and over and over. That's what these people are trained to do within positions of power. The problem is that police do not do their jobs. They're not impartial. They're not looking after law and order. They're looking after protecting the administrations of the Crown and Government and all the criminals that they employ, that they actually train to come out with all these trigger words and these antagonistic remarks and these provocative statements, standover tactics. These need to be addressed by an impartial entity, and that entity must look at who instigated it, why did they instigate it, what did they mean by all their words. Every meeting that a person has with any person from ACC Crown and Government should have everything video recorded at all times. In this day and age, I don't think there's any reason for not video recording everything, including court cases. New Zealand is trying to hide behind its own entities and get its own entities to investigate its own corruption and criminality, which is impossible because there's nothing impartial about it. Everything they do is twisted, the same as all the trigger words to set victims off in whatever rampage they want to go on. Some people don't bow to it and just walk away. Other people will stand there and argue and fight. And it's not really their fight. They're just losing control because they're having all control taken away from them. And this is what I have a problem with in New Zealand, because it is run by terrorists. Fear and violence is their number one issue for attacking their victims, threatening them, intimidating them, bullying them, abusing them, harassing them, criminally harassing them, defrauding them, making their lives as literally unlivable and impossible to in every aspect of the controls they have. The victims have no one. The government has all the money, power and resources to carry out its crimes against its victims. The people it employs are committing these crimes against its victims. Now, what are you left with whenever you're the one being attacked with fear and violence? They're slandering you, they're labeling you, they're defaming you. They're trying to turn your peaceful, tranquil, easygoing, lawful existence, and they're trying to turn you into this villain while they're the ones attacking you and not being investigated for the crimes they're actually committing. The abuse, the threats, the intimidation, the violence. And at the end of it, like ACC, the government says ACC can't contract out of legislation, so they just shut up shop and they literally single out the person, they isolate them, they alienate them, and then they say you can take public-private criminal prosecutions, which is all criminal blackmail under Section B of the Crimes Act. This is where the government sets up its own organised criminal entity. This is where New Zealand becomes its own fucking slave trade. And yeah, there's just too much has gone on in my case for the last 20 years for it to be left unaddressed and for it to be left without 1 ounce of justice or accountability, while the government states, you're their slave, you don't have any rights, we own you. That's their words, not mine. So what you have then is the biggest kidnapping situation known to man, committed by a government, and everybody accepts it. These people aren't fit to sweep a street. They're unfit for purpose. They do not adhere to their own laws, legislation, policies, procedures, or protocols. They do not uphold the victim's rights, and then the victim has to go and pay all these other people to fight to prove the rights that have been taken away from them and for what's been done to them. This is nothing but organised crime and state terrorism on your behalf, Jacinta Ardern, and all the governments before you. So, you're under warning. This case keeps going the way it's going, it ends in a last resort, and you're going to get charged with murder. I can fucking guarantee it. Because you're the one committing the murders of your victims. And I'm sick of everybody thinking that, oh, this person's a bad person, this person's a bad person. Because you are the bad people. You are the racists. You are the people segregating people. You're the people who are dividing and conquering society. You're the ones with all the, all the legal minds put together, and all your legal and political garbage that you write up for all your own benefits. None of it benefits your victims. Fear and violence certainly doesn't benefit your victims. Fraud doesn't benefit your victims. Holding your victims criminally for ransom and blackmail doesn't benefit your victims. Having your victims state criminal kidnap, set up for crimes through malicious criminal prosecutions, kidnapped. That, I don't know what you're trying to do other than keep control of something you can't keep control of because you haven't got the brains to actually do your fucking job. Your job is to address the criminalities of your government, your administrations, your organizations, and to compensate people, which is exactly what you're trying to avoid in compensating people. So what you're saying is you can commit all the crimes and you have the right to commit your crimes, and then the onus is left on your victims to prove otherwise. It's a fucking scam. It's the biggest organised crime run industry I've ever come across in my entire life. If I had the millions, tens of millions of dollars to put all the facts on the table, I would put every last one of yous behind bars for the rest of your natural fucking lives. And yous know it. Now, the fact that your media haven't got the balls to take me on because you put a gagging order on my life and my case, either that or the most useless fucking reporters on the planet, which doesn't surprise me. But they're carrying out all your criminal propaganda and all your bullshit and fear and violence to control society. Oh, we have to look after terrorism. When you are the people who actually commit all the terrorism. You cover up more crimes than anybody I've ever seen in my life, and it's all your own crimes. But you want to claim that society is the bad people. You need to get this sorted, Jacinta, and you better stop all this fucking public fucking propaganda of yourself and trying to turn yourself into some fucking hero, because you're not a hero. You're a fucking prime minister being paid to do a job that you're not fucking doing. So you better get your head up your fucking ass and you better start doing what you're supposed to do. My case better be addressed, and you better have the fucking answers to all my questions very soon.